Namaste, beautiful ones. Welcome to today's tutorial. We'll be doing crow, and I'll give you some tools to help you on your journey into flight. So when you think of hand balances, a lot of people think you've got to be super strong, and sure, eventually for the more advanced ones you do. But when you think of the hand balances that we'll be starting, the entry level, let's call them hand balances, we need to remember one thing: they're called balances for a reason. So if you think of these old-fashioned scales, where you put something in a bowl and then either it will go up or down, right? So this is exactly the same concept. If you put too much of your weight in front of your hand, so if you go forwards too much, you'll fall on your face. And if you don't lift your bum and your feet high enough, you won't get your feet off the floor. So we need to find that sweet spot where our center of gravity is, or actually not really the center of gravity, but the sweet spot over your hands to find that perfect balance. If you have the same amount of weight in front and behind where your hands are, the point touching the floor, then your hand balance actually becomes almost effortless. Obviously, eventually using your whole body as one, using tensegrity, will also help you with the more advanced ones, creating a little bit more effort with ease. So the first thing to remember is the hand placement. Really make sure that you have your hands correct. And it's the same as the hand placement tutorial that I did in part 1. So if you haven't seen that yet, maybe it's a great idea to have a look at that. You want to make sure your hands are spread evenly. And the fingers are spread evenly. So when you have your hands, they'll be a fraction wider than shoulder width apart. So the center of the shoulder will line up with the index finger, and the creases will be parallel to the front of your mat. Then we'll make sure to keep our bum high, because if you sag with your bum at the bottom, you make your lower part of your body very heavy, and it's difficult to then get the feet off the floor. So we'll lift the bum, we'll keep the bum high, bend the elbows backwards. Very important, because if you bend your elbows to the side, look what happens to your wrist. It's very awkward for the wrist. And now you want to put weight on that, so you can get injured. Yeah, so always make sure the wrist bends backwards, then you have a nice straight line, and the crease stays straight, and the wrist doesn't take any unwanted or unnecessary strain. Right. So now we make sure the hands are correct, lift the bum, bend the elbows back, and the knees come on the arm, not past the arm. Again, if the knees are past the arm, a lot of unnecessary weight and your poor body has to work so hard. Make your life easier. And always remember, everything has a progression. So the crow eventually will move into the crane. When we do the crane, the knees are in the armpit, the arms are straight. So if your knees were out, now you have to learn a new technique to bring the hips up and the knees in. Whereas if you learn this technique, all you need to do eventually is bring the knees higher and straighten the arms. Yeah? So, knees on the arm, keep the bum high, and you'll see, all I do now is no jumping. I simply shift the weight, and whoops, the feet go off by themselves. So it's just a tiny bit of weight shift and lift. So if you are ready, you can bring the big toes together and gaze forwards. And there you have it. Happy practicing!